Hello, and thanks for joining the FrostySith channel today, where we're on the 8th installment of the Keto Trail video series, where we bring you keto zone recipes that are ultra light and delicious. And they're as good cold soaked as they are hot. In this case, they're just good room temperature, because we're doing a dessert, an avocado chocolate chunk cookie. And it's really almost a meal replacement because it's a little over 500 calories. So definitely should work into your keto meal plan for your next backcountry adventure. So stay tuned, and we're going to dive into the recipe and follow up with some nutritional info. Let's get to it. Okay, so for this recipe, you're going to need the standard weight scale and some bowls and spoon and just the standard kitchen equipment that you have around. Everything in this recipe is pretty much done by weight except for the liquid stevia. And so let's get into that. So the first thing that we're going to add is 15 grams of organic cacao powder, 45 grams of monk fruit granular sweetener, 3 grams of baking powder, and then we have an ounce, 28 grams of almond flour, 1 gram of cinnamon, which is the dark brown, 2 grams of the lime juice powder, which is this light colored powder, and 1 gram of turmeric powder. Then we've got 3 egg yolks. Blend this up a little bit. Hopefully control the cacao powder a little bit. Then we have 1 gram of Himalayan sea salt, which is the pink salt, and 1 gram of potassium chloride, which is the white granular product. And then we have 40 grams of macadamia nuts and 28 grams or 1 ounce of 72% cacao chocolate chunks. And then we have unflavored sweet leaf stevia extract drops, and we're going to add 40 drops. Okay, then stir. Oh, the main ingredient is missing, but that's okay. We will go grab it and add it in here. So the 100 grams of avocado, and this is a pretty ripe avocado, and this is what's making up, a lot of the fat content in the recipe instead of butter or other fats. So we're just gonna give it a quick mash. And of course, this recipe you do at home before you go. All right, so just mash that up real good. And get that in here. And it turned out in my case that the one ripe avocado was right at 103 grams. So I didn't have to waste any avocado. And now that should come together. I need more. And my spoon broke, but oh well. You just want to mix it until there's no green chunks and it's full combined. And then we're probably going to make 2 to 3 cookies out of this, and so almost meal replacement size calories. If you want to make smaller cookies, you could. I think there's a little over 1,000 calories in this recipe. So 2 cookies, it's going to put just over 500 calories. 3 would be, if you're going to add it to a smaller meal, 3 or 4 might be a more appropriate size. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. It's definitely sticky. And got some macadamias, but I think all the avocados mixed up. All right. Well, let's get it on a baking sheet and into the oven. Okay, so I've got the trusty old baking pan with a parchment sheet on it that's lightly oiled, and okay, flatten them out. And they're not going to spread out too much, so not real concerned that they're a little close together. And that's just roughly 50-50. If you wanted to make balls and weigh them out, you could do that and then flatten them. And of course you could do 3 cookies or 2 cookies or 5 or whatever divisions you want. All right, let's go get these in a 350-degree oven to bake, and then we'll see what the final product looks like. All right, 15 minutes is up. And there they are. Okay, now we're going to let them cool, and we'll taste them in a while. Okay, it's been an hour, so we're going to move them over to a plate. And go weigh them. All right, one of the cookies is 143 grams. And another's 130, so they're fairly close, but you could be more precise if you chilled the dough ahead of time and then split it in half, weighed it, and used oil to roll them out on your hands to roll them out. So, yum, there we go. There's 2 cookies. They're roughly 500 calories each. We'll go over the nutritional information in just a minute. We'll have a taste. So, yummy. And of course, if you would like yours to be crisper, you can just bake them longer, but this is 15 minutes at 350, and it's a little bit like a brownie. Okay, we are over here at chronometer.com, and this is a free service, and you can sign up for an account and create custom recipes like I have here. And we're going to be reviewing the nutritional information in the 8th installment, the Keto Trail playlist series, focused on the avocado chocolate chunk cookie recipe that we just prepared in the video. And if we take a look at the nutritional label for the American 2016 format label, we can see that, and there's 2 servings in this, so this makes 2 cookies, and 1 serving, so 1 cookie, is 510 total calories. So let's punch up the calculator. And of that 510 calories, it's made up of 45 grams of fat, 12 grams of protein, and 44 grams of total carbs, and we'll go through that breakdown in a minute. So let's figure out what the percentage of calories are coming from fat. So there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So that's 407 calories of this recipe are coming from fat. And if we divide by total, that's about 70, almost 80% of the calories are coming from fat. Now let's check the protein. There's 12 grams of protein. There are 4 calories per gram. That's 48 calories, and we can tell that's less than 10%, but if we divide by the 510.9, we get 9.3% from protein. Now, if you were really concerned about the protein here, you could probably add some protein powder. In particular, pea protein powder would be good for this recipe. You may have to add an extra egg yolk to do that, but the power of this is that you can do all these things in here ahead of time and then go make the recipe and test it out in your kitchen and understand that it's going to be something you're really going to enjoy eating in the backcountry. So now let's take a look at the carbohydrates, and in this example it's a little more complicated, and the reason is because we used monk fruit, which is a very old sweetener, and it's a natural sweetener, and the brand that we use actually contains a little bit of erythritol, which is a synthetic sweetener, artificial sweetener. If you don't have access to monk fruit sweetener, then you could use Swerve, which is 100% erythritol, and it's certainly a lot more accessible. You can find it at Walmart, and it's a lot cheaper. I think the last pound of monk fruit that I bought was about $22. So for granulated monk fruit sweetener. But both the monk fruit and erythritol are actually categorized as sugar alcohols. And so the majority of the carbohydrate that you're showing here is all coming from that sweetener. And if you use Swerve, it would still be coming from the sweetener. In fact, in the same proportions. It has the same proportions of sugar alcohols as the monk fruit, but 11.8 grams of the total carbohydrates are dietary fiber, and so we back those out, and so our net carbohydrates. 44.1 minus 11.8 is 32.3 grams of net carbohydrates, and of those, about 6 grams are sugars. And if we take that 32.3, multiply it by 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, then we get 129 calories that are coming from carbohydrate. And of the 510 calories, that's about 25%. You just have to keep in mind that, you know, the bulk of those 32 grams of carbohydrates is coming from sugar alcohols. And if you are not accustomed to, if you use Swerve or any other artificial sweetener and you're not accustomed to that sweetener, you may have some digestive irritation and pain associated with this volume of sweetener, of artificial sweetener that you're not accustomed to. And so make certain that you do try this out at home and use a sweetener that is good for your gut and doesn't give you any upset, because certainly if you're in the backcountry and definitely at altitude and exerting yourself, it really changes the way your metabolism and digestion works, because you're not putting nearly as much energy into digestion when you're exerting a lot of effort. And so even on good days, it can really change the way your metabolism and digestive system works. And if you're adding something that irritates it anyway, that's not necessarily something you want to do. And if you do that, you certainly want to do it with your eyes wide open. So in any case, reviewing the macros, this is certainly keto. You got 80% of the calories coming from fat, very little on the protein, and really very little on the total carbs, but 25% from net carbs if you include the sugar alcohols. So let's look at the electrolytes. So sodium 0.3 grams and potassium 0.9 grams. So that's a good potassium sodium ratio. So great. And other minerals, you'll see there's a variety of things because of the egg yolks. We've got a lot of choline, vitamin A, really good stuff in here in the vitamins section. And then other minerals, there's probably not a lot. Got a little bit of iron, a little bit of phosphorus, a little bit of magnesium, tiny amount of copper, 64% of your RDA of copper in here. And again, this is for one cookie, not two. So the recipe that we made, it makes 2 cookies. So it's about 1,020 total calories in each cookie. If you split it equally, is right around 510 calories. So that's the nutritional highlights. Well, I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you can make it work as a part of your meal planning for backcountry. Keto, it's really good. It's a great alternative to, you know, savory stuff. And if you haven't taken the opportunity yet, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit like. And if you have comments, leave those too. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Remember, get up, get out, live a little. See ya.